Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe. Once again, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.
You don't need to be a lawyer to benefit from a legal education, especially in human resources. At Texas A&M School of Law, we built our online Master of Legal Studies specifically to give non-lawyers like you a competitive edge. With a focus on HR and employment law policy and management, you'll gain a better understanding of the legal complexities every HR team faces. Get the legal skills it takes to get ahead in HR at Texas A&M School of Law. Visit law.tamu.edu/MLS to learn more. If you need to know the law to advance your career, but you aren't a lawyer, we can help. At Texas A&M School of Law, our Master of Legal Studies programs offer the legal education you need to advance your career in some of the most heavily regulated industries in the world: health law, real estate law, energy law, HR law, risk management law, and more. We provide the legal education and insight non-lawyers like you need to get ahead. Visit law.tamu.edu/MLS to learn more. If you need to know the law to advance your career in the healthcare industry, but you aren't a lawyer, we can help. At Texas A&M School of Law, we offer a Master of Legal Studies with a focus on health law policy and management. It's specifically designed to help non-lawyers like you navigate the legal issues facing this heavily regulated industry. Gain the legal skills you need to advance your healthcare career from one of the most respected law schools in the nation. Visit law.tamu.edu/MLS to learn more. If you need to know the law to advance your career, but you aren't a lawyer, we can help. At Texas A&M School of Law, our Master of Legal Studies programs offer the legal education you need to advance your career in some of the most heavily regulated industries in the world: health law, real estate law, energy law, HR law, risk management law, and more. We provide the legal education and insight non-lawyers like you need to get ahead. Visit law.tamu.edu/MLS to learn more. If you need to know the law to advance your career in the healthcare industry, but you aren't a lawyer, we can help. At Texas A&M School of Law, we offer a Master of Legal Studies with a focus on health law policy and management. It's specifically designed to help non-lawyers like you navigate the legal issues facing this heavily regulated industry. Gain the legal skills you need to advance your healthcare career from one of the most respected law schools in the nation. Visit law.tamu.edu/MLS to learn more.
Hello everybody, I'm Ed Robinson and welcome to another exciting edition of The Robinson Show. On the program I have Raine Cruz. Raine is a wrestling ring announcer for independent wrestling promotions, and she's also the host of the RaineCheck Podcast and a voiceover artist. In 2001 she served as a guest ring announcer for the WWE pay-per-view SummerSlam. On the program we discuss her upbringing, love for professional wrestling, also winning the WWE announcer contest, her 2021 SummerSlam experience, and much more. Raine is coming up after the break. Stay tuned. You're listening to The Robinson Show.
They said it could be some kind of food allergy.
My muscles ached. I was tired all the time.
It happened like that, a full-blown asthma attack. It was scary.
The unsettling thing about some symptoms is
a fever, headaches. I have these red, itchy welts.
You don't always know what's causing them.
It was Lyme disease from a tick bite.
I had West Nile virus from a mosquito.
A reaction triggered by cockroach allergens.
Bed bugs.
Threats to your health can come from the most unexpected places. Mosquitoes can transmit West Nile virus and also Zika virus. Ticks can carry Lyme disease and Rocky Mountain spotted fever. And allergens from cockroaches can trigger asthma attacks, leading to respiratory distress. Don't wait until you or someone you love is suffering with unexplained symptoms. Get the facts you need to protect your family. Visit pestworld.org.
If you need to know the law to advance your career in the healthcare industry, but you aren't a lawyer, we can help. At Texas A&M School of Law, we offer a Master of Legal Studies with a focus on health law policy and management. It's specifically designed to help non-lawyers like you navigate the legal issues facing this heavily regulated industry. Gain the legal skills you need to advance your healthcare career from one of the most respected law schools in the nation. Visit law.tamu.edu/MLS to learn more.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the program. That audio was courtesy of Raine Cruz's official YouTube channel, which is titled Ringside Raine, and you heard that audio that you heard was from a SummerSlam not too long ago, which was an event held by World Wrestling Entertainment, the WWE, where she won the guest ring announcer contest for that event, and we'll talk to her more about that in just a little bit. Also, we'll talk about the podcast that she has called The RaineCheck, and amongst other things. Let's welcome her to the program. She's a ring announcer, and she's also a big professional wrestling fan and the host of the podcast exclusively on YouTube called The RaineCheck. Let's welcome her to the program, Raine Cruz. Hello, Raine. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us on the program. As I stated earlier, we're going to talk about your love for professional wrestling and being a wrestling ring announcer, and, of course, winning the contest with the WWE in just a moment. But I want to start off with your upbringing. What was your upbringing like?
Oh, so for me, I was raised by my grandparents. So I was born and raised in the Philippines, and I was there until I was 18. It was really interesting, growing up. I was always with my grandpa. He would always watch some action films, and I think I just kind of like the aspect of like these actors like pretending that they were hurt, Because every single day we would rent the tape and watch all these action films, and I think that kind of started my love for like pro wrestling in a sense, because I was just fascinated about these people that were pretending they were hurt, like on the action movies.
You're absolutely right about that, Raine, and you mentioned about action heroes and just watching action films, and it's kind of like a metaphor for professional wrestling, which is an athletic choreography. You mentioned about you growing up in the Philippines, and when I think about the Philippines and specifically the sports world, the first person that comes to my mind is the Pac-Man, MannyPacquiao. I want to ask you, what's his presence like, and what impact does he have on the Philippines? Because we saw it when he was in the boxing world, and then he's transitioned into politics and also the entertainment world where he's become a singer. So what is his impact like, not just on you, but more importantly on the Filipino community?
Oh, wow. I remember when he became like a spotlight in the boxing world, it was just, we took so much pride on that one because, there's really, I feel like for us Filipinos, like MannyPacquiao, like, put up a flag right there, and he was very talented. And I remember even when he was starting out, I was still, in the Philippines, and every time he had a fight, it would always be like around Sunday morning in the Philippines, with the time difference. I think Saturday night here, it would be like around 9 in the morning in the Philippines, and the streets would be empty, because everyone's just like watching his fight, and just the impact of like this one person bringing everyone together, bringing the whole country together. It's really, really cool to experience, because it's basically a holiday for us every time Pacquiao had to fight.
You're absolutely right about that. And just watching his matches on television for so many years, it just seemed like an event or like a big party whenever Manny would be fighting. A lot of the Filipino community would definitely be out, as you stated so well, Raine. And I want to stay just with the Philippines for a moment. Not only watching Manny throughout the years, but even some Filipino fighters. There's a language. I was doing my research on Filipino, the official language, and it's something called Tagalog. Can you explain to the listeners what Tagalog is and just its origins, if you can do so, ma'am?
God, so it's pronounced Tagalog, so it's like you know that Girl Scout cookie called Tagalongs? It's basically like that Tagalog, like without the N. But the origins of Tagalog, I honestly don't know. But where I'm from, we mostly spoke that language. There's different dialects in the Philippines, but where I'm from the main island, or like the northern island. There's 3 main islands, and I'm from the northern island. I grew up close to Manila, which is the capital city, and my grandparents who raised me, they actually came from a province called Bulacan, which they spoke Tagalog there very heavily, to the point where, and when I actually speak Tagalog, I do have an accent, like as if I'm like from the country, like from the countryside, basically. I think that's how my grandparents were. They spoke like words that were just like, city people they wouldn't really use it, but to me, I use those words. So now when I meet Filipinos here in the States, they're like, "Are you from the countryside?" Because no one really uses those words unless they're from the countryside, because they're like deep Tagalog words. But yeah, Tagalog is like the main language in the Philippines, and depending on where you're from, like which island you're from, then that's where you learn like different dialects. But for the most part, everyone speaks Tagalog, and it's close to Spanish, actually. My husband actually speaks Spanish, and whenever I do hear him, speaking Spanish, I do pick up some of what he's saying, because I pick up like the words that I do speak in Tagalog, which is technically Spanish, but we just pronounce it different.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for correcting me on that pronunciation, Tagalog. So, because I've always heard them say, because I always have watched the boxing telecasts where they featured Filipino fighters and they had the interpreter, and they always pronounced it how I pronounced it before. But thank you for giving us the correct pronunciation, which is Tagalog. And I just want to stay with the Philippines for a moment. You mentioned about you grew up near Manila, and can you describe to the listeners out there the atmosphere of Manila, because we know about the Thriller in Manila, Ali and Frazier, and you mentioned that Manila is the capital of Philippines. So what's the scene like in Manila?
So I grew up in a city called Valenzuela, like Fernando Valenzuela. It's not named after Fernando Valenzuela, but the name of the city is Valenzuela, it used to be part of Manila, and then we became our own city. But yeah, growing up in Manila, it's really cool. There's a lot of like history, there's like churches that are humongous, and it's been there since so when you walk into these churches, you'd see how big they are, and you can tell there's so much history based on the structures alone. And I feel like Manila, let's see, what's the best city to we just came back from Mexico from Tulum for our honeymoon, and it did remind me a lot of Manila, like how busy the streets were, and you see like a lot of like foreigners too, kind of walking around, because I feel like Manila is like very accessible to foreigners. I mean, a lot of people in the Philippines speak English. As soon as you start going to school, they teach you that right away. It's part of the curriculum. So like if or when you are in Manila, you wouldn't get lost, basically, because everyone would be, speaking English, and there's a lot of signs in English, and, if you're down to, take, the public transportation, we have, the jeepney, and it's, not just around Manila, but, all over the country. That's, the main, that's, the most popular form of transportation. And, yeah, they're colorful, and I think right before I left they started having air-conditioned jeepneys, but for the most part, they weren't when I was still living there. But whenever I was in Manila, I would see like a bunch of tourists. They want to try out the jeepney, ride a jeepney. Manila, busy streets, a lot of stuff going on. Obviously there's like kind of like sides that are, you can tell they're like not yet fully developed, but there are like, touristy spots now in Manila. Because like whenever I go back now, I would see like a difference. Because I moved here in 2007, and I would go back every now and then, and I would see the difference. The developments that have happened throughout the years.
Awesome. Thank you so much for explaining that to me and the listeners out there just about Manila. And I want to stay not just with Manila, but just with the Philippines for a moment. We know the Philippines is a part of Asia, and the weather is pretty humid for the most part. What's the weather like in the Philippines? Is it humid, very tropical, or is it similar to California weather where it's not too humid, but it's near perfect?
It's very tropical. Honestly, when we were in Tulum, in Mexico, it reminded me of how hot and humid the Philippines can get, especially during summertime. Okay,
and then, because I've been following up, reading up on things here and there, watching things on the Philippines, and say that it's hot, it's humid, it's very tropical. And another thing that I want to stay just with the Philippines for a moment, another unique element of your homeland is the food. Can you explain to the listeners some of the most popular dishes that come from the Philippines?
So let's see. Usually when I meet someone who's not from the Philippines, they tell me they like adobo, which is basically either pork or chicken, and it's marinated in vinegar and soy sauce and bay leaf and garlic. It's really, really good with rice. There's also lumpias, which is basically our version of egg rolls, but this one is filled with meat and, some thinly sliced veggies, and it's deep fried. We also have the pancit, which is our version of chow mein. So the pancit can, depending on where you're from in the Philippines, there's different ways of prepping the pancit. Where I'm from, we use like a really thin rice noodles to make pancit, but so it's rice noodles and either shrimp or pork and then some veggies. Or some places in the Philippines they use like thicker noodles, and their pancits can come with like a thicker sauce. Whereas where I'm from, it's more like on the drier side. We also have this. This is my favorite dessert. It's called halo halo, which literally translates to mix, because halo means mix. So we call it halo halo because the way you eat it, or right before you eat it, you have to mix all the ingredients that are stacked on top of each other. So it's a bunch of like, sweet stuff, like sweet beans, and then coconut jelly, and jackfruit, and then more sweet beans, and then, they'll put sugar there, and then they'll top it with ice, and depending if, where you get it, sometimes they put flan on top, or ice cream, and they'll put milk in it, and then the way you eat it is you mix the whole thing together. So you have this giant cup with this, with a giant spoon, and just mix it all the way while you're eating it. That one's really good. I haven't found a place here in the States that, I can really go to all the time and to get my halo halo. So every time I'm in the Philippines, that's the first thing I would usually look for, halo halo. We also have like a popular fast food chain called Jollibee, so that's our version of McDonald's. And they do have it here in the States. And, we have like fried chicken, and there's spicy fried chicken, and you can get it with rice, or Filipino spaghetti, which is on the sweeter side with hot dogs. And they do sell pies, peach mango pies, and I wanted to have coconut pies too. I might be wrong with that, but for the most part, the food's really good. Obviously I'm biased because I'm from But, my husband, he enjoys, Filipino food. He's born and raised here. He's a Mexican-American, and he enjoys Filipino food, so.
Wow, the dishes that you named were so amazing. It sounds like a lot of flavor and a lot of seasonings in the Filipino food. Definitely, hopefully, you get your hands on some more Filipino food in the States real soon. And while we're talking about the Philippines and your upbringing, you mentioned about growing up, you loved watching action heroes and specifically watching action films with your grandparents. And this goes into the next topic I want to talk about, your love for professional wrestling. How did you develop a love for the sport of professional wrestling?
So it started around 2006. I was taking Taekwondo lessons, and I sprained my ankle, and so I was just at home, and I was flipping through the channels, and this is the year before I moved to the U.S., so I was looking for, English programs that could help me practice my English. So I was going through the channels, and then next thing I know, I see John Cena on Monday Night Raw. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then, in that day, because in the Philippines, they would show reruns of Raw and SmackDown, and I'm trying to remember that other show they have, Velocity, I think, or Heat, or something like that. But they would show that, on replay almost every day. So there's always a replay of Raw or SmackDown or whatever. So I started just watching, wrestling almost every day because they would have reruns, every day. And I just fell in love with it. And I think, and at that time I didn't realize, that it was something that's, so I feel like someone told me later on, and it didn't really turn me off from watching it. Mostly because, like my analogy earlier, my grandpa and I would watch action films. It's like, we watch the movies knowing that this is a movie, this is a story, right? But the actors, they did their part so well, they played their part so well that you really, suspended your disbelief that it's not a real, thing, right? So with wrestling, I fell in love with it more when I found out that, it's scripted. It's amazing how the wrestlers, they're able to kind of show you, pain, how they're, or how happy they are when they win a match. So I think fast forward to a few months after, they had a contest for, because SmackDown will be in the Philippines, and they had this contest of, you send in a question to Dave Bautista, because Dave Bautista's half Filipino. You submit a question, and if they like your question, they'll, you get to ask your question to Dave, in person. And I remember at this time, there was no social media. This was 2006. There's no social media. All you have to do, what you needed to do was you have to submit your questions via text. At this time, the phones were those phones that you have with the QWERTY keypads. Those old Nokia phones. So I texted a bunch of questions, and next thing I know, I won the contest. There's 5 of us. We were invited to meet Batista at a hotel at an event, and I got to ask my question to Batista, and then the next day after, I went to see my first WWE house show. And then, when I moved to the States the year after, wrestling made me feel at home in a sense because it was something that I started watching back home, back in the Philippines, which is kind of weird, right? Because for the most part, WWE is based here in the U.S. So it just kind of reminded me of the times that I watched wrestling with my grandma, even though she wasn't really into it, but because she knew I loved it, there she would watch it with me. So wrestling really, provided that piece of home for me.
Wow, that's amazing how you stumbled upon the sport of professional wrestling, training for the martial arts, and you wind up getting hurt, and then you were watching this, all of a sudden you see John Cena, and then later you wind up seeing Batista, and then it goes to show you the global impact of not just professional wrestling, but sports, and especially the WWE and how they're able to impact people's lives, and certainly you were impacted by that and going to the house show for SmackDown. Truly amazing. And I want to stay just with wrestling and specifically your favorite wrestlers growing up. So as you stated, you stumbled upon watching WWE, you saw John Cena, and then later you would become a fan of Batista. You found out he's half Filipino. So aside from John Cena and Batista, who are your favorite wrestlers coming up?
Trish Stratus. Trish and Lita, because to me, they were, I remember seeing Trish Stratus, and I was like, oh, like a really interesting character. And at that time, she's one of the females that can actually wrestle. So her, Lita, and I remember when I first saw Beth Phoenix too, I was like, oh my God, this is like, she's amazing, so John Cena, Batista, and Trish, Lita, and Beth Phoenix. Because to me, it was at that time when I started watching wrestling too. I remember seeing the women, and I was like, okay, it would be nice to kind of see, someone like, a female wrestler, right? And that's when I saw Trish, Lita, and when Beth came out, I was like, oh wow, they're different. They're not like just like, out there to, kind of, flaunt their bodies, right? Not just like eye candies. So that's why I really, really love them and their characters. Fascinated about Lillian Garcia. I remember watching Raw and seeing her and just seeing how she kind of commanded the crowd with her voice. And, I always thought, man, this is amazing. Like, like the way she talked and the way she, like, announced the matches, and, like, everyone's just, like, listening to her, You got all these dudes, like, coming out from the back, going into the ring, and she's, like, right there, like, commanding the crowd. And, yeah, to me, I think I remember watching, wrestling, back in 2006, and just kind of, like, thinking to myself, where do I fit in this world? And I think I just had that question for the longest time in my head because I really loved it, and it's like I just knew I couldn't be a wrestler. Like, I'm not like that athletic to be a wrestler, and so I was just like, well, maybe this is just something that I would just like become a fan, and support it and express my love for it, and, one way or another.
Well, absolutely. Sometimes in life, not just whether it be in athletics, but just really in life in general, we always have to try things and experience new things to find our niches. And definitely you found your niche specifically in broadcasting and, of course, having a love for professional wrestling and getting into ring announcing, which we'll get to in just a little bit. But I want to talk about you becoming a wrestling ring announcer. You mentioned about being impacted or being influenced not only by your favorite wrestlers like John Cena, also Batista, Trish Stratus, also Lita and Beth Phoenix, but you also mentioned about Lillian Garcia, and Lillian is definitely one of my favorite ring announcers as well. She has a very commanding voice. I wanted to ask you, how did you stumble upon wanting to become a ring announcer? Was it through watching Lillian, or was this something that you developed as the years went on?
So, with ring announcing, it was never part of the plan. I just wanted to be a part of the show, of the wrestling scene. So when I started in the independent circuits, my first show, at least my first promotion, I was very vocal about, hey, I want to be a manager, la, la, la. And my first promoter, he said, well, I don't have that spot for you right now, but I can have you come in as like a backstage reporter, like someone who would interview the wrestlers before the matches or after the match. So that was my first show. My second show, this is my second promoter at this time. Same thing. He's like, okay, well, I'll have you, like, interview, the wrestlers, la, la, la. And so I remember my husband and I, we drove to Yuma, Arizona, and it was 4 hours away from where we lived. And we got there, hanging out, and, like, 30 minutes before the show started, I asked the promoter, I was like, so who am I going to interview? And he's like, we actually canceled that. And I was like, okay, what we drove 4 hours to get here, anything else that I could do? And then he said, well, we don't have a ring announcer. And I was like, okay, well, I've never done it, but if you want, I can try, and if I suck at it, please tell me I will not do it again. And he's like, all right, sure. So I tried it. I just kind of like, remembered how William would do it. And but to me, I wasn't like polished. Mind you, this was never part of the plan. So I had no practice. This was like, I just volunteered to do it. But I remember doing it, and I was like, man, this is really cool. Like, I get to play with my voice. I get to introduce the wrestlers. And it's like, you just, you have the crowd listening to you. And to me, it felt like, I felt good in a sense, mostly because I get to introduce, like, the wrestlers and the people get to know them. Because it's an independent circuit, Not everyone, I mean, let's be honest, not everyone really, they wouldn't really know the wrestler unless they hear their names, right? Because it's not like WWE where there's like a jumbotron, you see their name or whatever. This one, you have no clue which wrestler is going to come out, especially if that's their debut. You have no idea who they were. So to me, I had like friends who were making new debuts that night too, and I felt like, oh my God, I need to do justice with, saying their names, because this is going to be the first match of their lives. This is going to be the first time people will hear their names. I got to make sure I'm doing this right. So yeah, the first time I did it, I legit just volunteered, and I'm glad I was given that opportunity. And my promoter at that time, he let me try it, even though he knew that I'd never done it before.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, like you said, it wasn't part of the plan, but it was something that you wanted to try, and you and your husband wound up going out to Arizona with this independent promotion, and it paid off for you. And as you said, even though it's with independent promotions, you're still doing your thing and you're making a dream come true. And we're going to get more into making a dream come true, specifically with the contest that you won with the WWE in just a little bit. But I want to stay just with you being a professional wrestling ring announcer. As you've mentioned, you've worked with independent promotions. Can you describe, not only to me but to the listeners, what's a typical day like, just in terms of the preparation that you do for an event, in terms of getting the wrestlers' names right and talking to them and making sure the crowd is hyped up? So can you go through us just how you would prepare for an event?
Oh, so for me, what I realized with doing pro wrestling events is that you can only prepare so much. At the day of the show, whatever you have prepped might just go down the drain. Mostly because some wrestlers, they don't end up showing up. Or, so now they have to, move people around. So now you're, notes of, this wrestler fighting this wrestler. Now it becomes, a whole different ball game. So to me, what I do is I just try to prepare, as much as I can. Basically, I would hit up all these wrestlers on Instagram or Facebook and ask for their information, height, weight, weight and nickname. I would also double check with the promoter if, hey, do you want me to mention their weight? Because some promoters, they don't want that. Some promoters, they want the whole spiel, hometown, weight, and then nickname, and then, the wrestler's name. Some promoters, they're just like, yeah, just introduce where they're from, who they are, that's it. So I double check that first with the promoter, and then I start hitting up all the wrestlers. At least I know that are part of the show. Because sometimes when you see their posters, the show's posters, you'll see like the pictures of the wrestlers. And if they don't have that, I would just ask the promoter, hey, who do you have so far on your card, right? And they'll start hitting up these people. So that way, whether they end up, sticking with the card, the planned card, the day of the show or not, I do have their information, right? I'm not like scrambling to get these people's information the day of, because for me, at least, my mindset is that you can only control your own actions, right? You can only prepare what you can prepare. And to me, it makes me feel comfortable that I have my notes, because I think what's more nerve-wracking than just being in front of people, is you have no clue what the hell you're going to say. It's like, it's already, I feel like people get nervous when they're in front of, people, right? When you're standing in front and you're like, okay, a lot of these eyeballs are looking at you. But it's like, when you don't know what you're supposed to say, then that's more nerve-wracking. It's like, they're looking at me, I don't know what to say. So at least for me, if I have done my homework, I did, I asked the guys, hey, what's your information and all that. If I'm in the middle of the ring and these people are looking at me, okay, I know what to tell them. I have something to say. And then even though there's last-minute changes, the day of the show, I feel more comfortable because I have the information already. It's just about putting the pieces together. All right, wrestler A will have a match against wrestler C now versus A and B. And it's just a lot of like note-taking for me.
You know what? People think about ring announcers, whether it be boxing, wrestling, or any type of combat sports, they automatically assume that the job is just easy because they have index cards and things of that nature. But like you said, Raine, it's different because when you don't have that preparation, or as you said, wrestlers could drop in and out of the competitions and stuff, and when you don't have much to say, it can be nerve-wracking when people are watching you, and I think people neglect that aspect of being a ring announcer. And I want to say just with what you do, I've seen, you've seen it as well with ring announcers in different promotions be a part of the storylines from time to time. Are you a part of the storylines with the promotions that you've worked for or currently work for?
Yes and no. Because sometimes, I show up to a show and then I just, sometimes depending on who shows up in terms of the wrestlers, sometimes they just have to like kind of improvise what the storylines would be. And then, sometimes I'll get the whole, okay, Raine, make sure you introduce so-and-so first, but, and then, the second part, don't introduce the next guy because someone's going to grab your mic and la 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 la. So when you tell me someone's going to grab the mic, then to me it's like, in my head, well, what's the natural thing for someone to do if someone grabs your purse, your mic, whatever you're holding, right? You act scared. So to me, that's when I become a part of the story, when like the wrestlers, they yell at me or, they grab my microphone and, because it can't just be like, oh, you grabbed my microphone, smile. Like, do like that, So, to me, I become a part of the story. Sometimes I don't even know. Sometimes it's like the improv of pro wrestling, which I really love, because it's like you just happening in the ring. So sometimes it's not even planned that someone's going to yell at me. But, I introduce them, and they're trying to be mean, and they, like, go up to my face, and they yell at me. And it's like, later on, they're like, Raine, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to, like, yell at you or, like, be mean to you. And I was like, we're doing a show. It's a show. It's not like, it's nothing personal. It's, it's business, when you're in the ring. Sometimes I have a heads up of, like, hey, so we're going to grab your microphone, which, to me tells, like, okay, you're going to be a part of the story. It could be just like improv it's like in the moment, that they just kind of like grab the microphone from me, or they feel the vibe of me announcing and then they kind of just start dancing and I just kind of go with the flow with them.
People don't understand that when you're part of the storylines, it's all about having that timing. And like you said, it's not that personal. It's just business. And some people just kind of like, well, why are we doing this? But as you said, it's a part of the show. And, hey, It's all a part of the business, and definitely you're good at what you do. And speaking of being good at what you do, you are very good in winning the WWE announcer contest to be a part of the SummerSlam. How did you hear about the contest?
Oh, God. I remember waking up to text messages from two of my friends, and they're like, "Hey, Raine, have you seen this?" And, it's an article about the WWE TikTok announcer contest. And I was like, no. But, my first reaction was like, oh, God, I don't even have TikTok. I had no clue this thing was happening. But apparently they posted under social media. I mean, I have Instagram, so that's where I kind of got more of the information. But, I have two friends who, told me about it. And they were like, oh, my God, WWE's doing this thing. It's on TikTok. And mind you, at that time, this was July of 2021. I started ring-announcing March of 2021. Right? So it's I didn't really know I didn't know if I was good enough to do this contest. In my head, I was I don't know what they're looking for. I just started ring-announcing, and it's I don't really, at that point of joining the contest, I think I've only done maybe 7 shows as a ring announcer, or 10, I think. I can't remember, but I didn't really think I was good enough to join the contest, But my mindset was okay, well, it's free to join, so I just created a TikTok account. I didn't know how to use TikTok, so I had some of my wrestler friends teach me how to do the videos. And then, they were filming me and showing me how to post this on TikTok. And so I was just I don't know if I'm going to win this. Because you know how on social media you can search the hashtag and you can see who else kind of posted something, with that hashtag. And I've seen other people, and I was like, man, they're really good. And my videos are basically buried, within 10,000 videos. So it's I was they're not going to see my videos because you have to keep scrolling just to see one of my videos. I was there's no way. But in my head, I was just well, it's free to join. I took it as it's a good way to practice too, because you record your voice introducing, because it's a TikTok duet video. You introduce John Cena, The Undertaker, Bianca Belair, Edge. So it's it's really cool to see yourself in a 2-box video with John Cena coming out. So I had fun doing the videos. So yeah, in my head I was I don't know if I'm good enough to do this. I just started ring announcing. So
things for sure you were definitely good enough to enter the contest, and you wound up winning the contest to do the announcing at SummerSlam. Who made the call? Did you hear from VinceMcMahon, or was it another staff member from WWE to let you know you won the contest? How did it happen?
Oh, it's someone from the WWE staff. I think they're part of the social media department because they're the ones handling all the the social media stuff for WWE. So it's one of them that reached out to me. And it was the week of SummerSlam, and it's crazy because it's I remember that Monday before SummerSlam, I was losing hope. I was there's no way. I haven't heard of anything. And then here comes Wednesday, and then I heard that I won, and I was what? And then they're yeah, we'll fly you to Vegas on Friday night, and then Saturday morning we'll see you at the stadium. It's wow, that's crazy. But yeah, I remember finding out that I had won, and I just started crying, and I was just on the floor crying, and my husband's what's wrong, and I couldn't talk. I just showed him, my phone, and he's oh my God, and because he told me, he's the chances of you winning is basically 1 in a million, and I was if there's one shot for me to win this, I don't care if it's a million, a billion. I have one shot. So at least I'm going to try for that one shot. And I got it. So it was just like unbelievable. And it was just like, I felt like from the day that I found out, so it was Wednesday, and then like Friday, just flying to Vegas, it felt like it wasn't real. Even when I got to the stadium, it still felt like it wasn't real.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like you said before, you had been a fan of the WWE for so long, and then, as you said, you only had a 1 in a million chance of winning, but you got it, and certainly, as they say, high risk, high reward, and you took a higher risk, and you got a higher reward by winning the contest, and congratulations on that. I want to now talk about just that day, just arriving in Las Vegas for that SummerSlam. Just not only can you tell me, but just tell the listeners out there just what was that day like, and just what was the crowd like, and just what was your role in being the contest winner?
Oh, God, I remember getting there really early at like 8:45 in the morning. This is like coming from, the night before when I couldn't fall asleep, right? But yeah, I got there around 8:45, I think. And it's I think I was just like, I still wouldn't believe that this was all happening to me. So I remember getting to AllegiantStadium. It was empty. But you could see like wrestlers coming in, and you're like, okay, this is, stay cool. Yeah, because you think all these wrestlers, and you're like, I didn't want them. I mean, I am a fan. I will always be a wrestling fan, but I also did not want them to see me as like, oh my God, like, she's not like focused on what she needs to do, right? So I was just like, I'm seeing these wrestlers, cool, just stay cool, be professional, whatever. And then, they met up with us at the gate, and they brought us in. They told me, okay, this is what you're going to announce. And they said, and then I said, so where's the other person? Because I thought there would be 2 winners. And they're like, what other person? I was like, oh, I thought there was going to be 2 winners. And they're like, no, it's just you. And I was like, oh. And then they're like, are you more nervous now? And I said, actually, no. Like, I felt more special, because it's like, in my head, like, oh, like, out of all, the people that submitted their videos, somehow they chose me to do this. And I just felt really, really special. I'm really, really thankful, because they gave me that opportunity to kind of show everyone what I love to do. And I felt like, going back to what I was saying earlier, I didn't know how I would fit in this world, in the world of professional wrestling, and I felt like ring announcing wasn't part of the plan, and somehow it became a part of the plan, and it was something that I can contribute into, the world of professional wrestling. Also, we had breakfast at the, catering area, and it's really neat to, like, see, like, the wrestlers, because, like, we would be walking around and introduce me. They're like, oh, hey, Drew McIntyre. Like, oh, this is, Raine Cruz. She won the contest. They're like, oh, congratulations. And so it's like there's a lot of that while we were walking around the stadium. And just being at the catering, too, it's like you see Bobby Lashley and Goldberg and Liv Morgan. Like, we were about to sit down, and she was about to get up, and she actually, like, sat back, and, she, chatted with us, and so that was really nice, just to kind of see, like, how, everything, was happening behind the scenes, how all the wrestlers were just chill, right? I mean, they're all wearing their gear, but they're, like, just, like, normal people, when you meet them backstage. I think at some point, they told me, okay, we'll do a mic check, so we'll tell you where to go in the ring, so like a quick rehearsal. And, while I was doing my thing in the ring, they were showing you where, which camera to look at, where I'm supposed to be standing. And then, while this was happening, Matt Riddle was also in the ring. He was kind of like warming up, and Charlotte Flair was on the other side. And it's just like cool to see, it's like, in my head, like, it's kind of like that feeling like, oh, I'm on the same stage as these people right now. Like, how is this happening to me? But yeah, it's really cool. And then after I did my sound check, First of all, I got out of the ring, and, you know, Molly Holly was there congratulating me, and then next thing you know, Beth Phoenix was congratulating me. It's, at this time, we were still wearing masks, so I couldn't really tell who they were until, like, they tell me their name. And at some point during the day, I met Triple H, and he said, you know, don't be nervous, you know, just have fun. And that's what I did. I just, you know, had fun. And it was really cool to meet him, you know, because it's like, you know, Triple H, you know, it's like, whoa. But yeah, for him to say, okay, just don't be nervous, just have fun. To me, that was a, you know, really great advice from him. And I wanted to enjoy the moment, and that's what I did.
Wow, you indeed enjoyed not just that moment, you enjoyed a lot of moments at the SummerSlam. That was SummerSlam 2021 to be exact, and you met so many awesome wrestlers. You mentioned Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, also Liv Morgan, and you also saw Riddle, and you also had a chance to see Goldberg, and you also had a chance to meet Triple H, man. That was amazing right there. Did you have an opportunity to see Vince McMahon along with his daughter Stephanie?
No, I just saw Stephanie in the area, but I didn't see Vince McMahon.
Okay, I wanted to ask you now about the stadium in Las Vegas, where, of course, that's the home to the NFL's Las Vegas Raiders, AllegiantStadium. How beautiful is that stadium?
Oh, wow. I remember walking around there, and, you know, while we were all walking around, you know, we were being told that, you know, that was the first WWE event at AllegiantStadium. So they're also kind of like learning their ways around the stadium. It's pretty neat, you know. It's like I've never been like in the middle of like a football field, and it's really cool to like be there and just kind of like look around and you see all like the cities around you, and it's just. It's crazy. It's it was such a the experience. It was like I'm trying to think like the best way to describe it, but I guess it's unbelievable for me because it's like, you know, we're like in the middle of this football field. You see how, you know, you turn around and you're like, oh my God, this place is huge, and the inside, you know, the backstage area, like everything's new, and it's pretty neat. And I remember, you know, because they were still setting up, you know, the chairs when we got there. So at least most of them were already set up. I made a joke. I said, we're not cleaning up these chairs after the show, right? Because you know how, like, in the NBC, you know, we all, like, you know, clean up after the show. So I was looking around, there was, like, so many chairs. I was like, we're not, like, you know, throwing these chairs afterwards, right? They're like, no. I knew we didn't have to. I was just like in my head. I came from that environment, right? We're all like helping out each other. So after a show, we all like kind of help each other, you know, clean up too. So yeah, it's every time I see AllegiantStadium on TV, it brings back great memories.
Wow, it seems like a great atmosphere to watch, not just a football game, but just big events, and certainly I'm glad you had the opportunity to experience that with the WWE. And you mentioned about some of the wrestlers that you met backstage during breakfast and meeting some of them prior to the event. Did you have an opportunity to talk to any of the ring announcers or the commentators like Michael Cole during the event or leading up to the event?
I had the opportunity to talk to Mike Rome and Greg Hamilton. So they were basically helping me out like throughout this whole process. They're telling me, okay, because I remember asking Mike Rome, I said, hey, so how do you guys want me to announce this? Because I'm used to like kind of doing that, you know, like I asked him for how do you want me to like announce this? Because it's like, are we going for like, what vibe are we going for here? You know, because like you mentioned earlier, you know, people think that ring announcing is just like you're blurting out names there. In my head, it's about making people feel a certain type of emotion. Because it's a character that you're introducing. You're not just saying someone's name. This is a character. So it's like, think of it as you're watching like this new trailer for a new movie, right? And you're like, you can kind of gauge what type of movie it is based on the voice of, that's being used on the trailer. That's how I picture ring announcing. So to me, it's like, when I asked my friend, I was like, how do you guys want me to announce this? And then they're like, oh, the announcing part, it's up to you, like your style and all that. At least because I announced Big E and Baron Corbin. Character-wise, Big E, lively, positive, right? And then Baron Corbin, at that time, he was basically a loser. Like, he lost all of his money, whatever. So we went from, like, positive, super happy character with Big E to, like, the complete opposite, which is, Baron Corbin, like, super low. Like, just no emotion. Or I guess the emotion is just, like, you feel like you're portraying that, it's someone who lost everything, basically. So Mike Rome was like, yeah, just kind of do your own style, whatever style you have when you're ring announcing, that's what you do. You don't need to copy anyone. You don't need to copy us. Just do your own style. But, basically the emotion, that's what we're looking for. That really helped me because it's like, The Rock had always said, you sell the emotion and the intention. And I think that's what kind of like differentiates people from each other, like the talent, from each other, because it's like, there's people who can like, they're talented, they can do the moves, or they have, voice-wise, great voice, whatever, they can hit high notes, whatever. But it's like, it's about how you make people feel a certain type of emotion. So it's nice to like hear from Mike Rome and Greg Hamilton how they kind of, prep and kind of, do their ring announcing. I remember Greg Hamilton, he's like, things always change. Things always change. Which I think that night, I think that was the same night that Becky Lynch made her comeback, and they didn't have any idea that it was going to happen. But I remember when it happened, he looked at me and he's like, I told you things change. So, so it was good that I had them to kind of like guide me that day too, because it's like, it's a whole different level than compared to the indies. So, but yeah, it was nice that they're there. Michael Cole, I didn't really get a chance to talk to him, but after I did my announcing, he kind of walked by and he said, great job, same as Pat McAfee. So.
Oh, wow. You definitely had an opportunity to talk to some heavy hitters such as Michael Cole and, of course, Pat McAfee. And then certainly you said it was a whole new ballgame for you going from the independent to the big time, so to speak. And I'm so glad that you had that experience working with the WWE. And I want to talk now just about the podcast that you have on your YouTube channel called The RaineCheck, where you get an opportunity to talk to a lot of independent wrestlers and their journey, and just tell everybody about the RaineCheck and how did it come about.
So the RaineCheck, it's mostly like, let's see, it's kind of like a backstage interview type of I don't want to call it a show, but like my idea about the RaineCheck is that I wanted the wrestlers to have like content to post on their social media to promote their matches, right? So my approach was like, I don't need you to be. It's not like kind of like an interview. We talk about their upbringing and how they started into wrestling and all that. It's mostly about them as a character. So I don't interview them as like a real self. I interview them as like the new wrestler. So for example, if there's like an upcoming show, I talk to one, a promoter that I know, and I'd be like, hey, do you want to do a RaineCheck? Because it's like, you have a show coming up. You want me to interview the guys, promote the match, whatever. And when, a promoter tells me, yeah, sure. So I'll start hitting up these wrestlers, and I tell them, hey, look, I'm doing this RaineCheck. I'll ask you about your upcoming match. You cut your promo, and then, you know, we can post on your social media. And, you know, there's wrestlers that see, like, the opportunity and of, you know, creating this type of content, which I really, you know, I like that they see, like, the value of it, because it's like, I want them to be able to show their character, right? Because I feel like sometimes you go to a show, and, again, not WWE style, so there's no Jumbotron, you know, there's no video montage of what this character is. So I feel like social media is the best way for them to kind of show, you know what, this is my character, this is how I cut a promo. You know, so when, you know, when the wrestlers, you know, they do the rain check with me, it's like, okay, this is an opportunity for them to be like, okay, this is my character, this is how I cut a promo, and they can post it on their social media.
Wow, it's definitely amazing right there how you've had the opportunity to, like you said, give the wrestlers an opportunity to speak their piece on a lot of things. Definitely good that you're doing this show, and certainly it's called The Raine Check, and I advise everybody to check it out. And while we're talking about just with wrestling or just life issues in general, mental health is something that it impacts everybody, no matter what walk of life you come from. And I know you being in the professional wrestling business and interviewing wrestlers and just the journey that you've gone through thus far, coming from the Philippines and coming to the States and achieving dreams, I want to ask you, how do you keep your mental health in check?
Oh, God. You know, I try to stay positive all the time, because I feel like there's a lot of, like, you know, things that happen in our lives that could just make us, like, kind of hate, you know, the world. But on the other hand, there's a lot of things to be grateful for, you know. I sometimes think to myself, you know what, you know, my struggle right now, it could always be worse, right? And for me, when I feel like, okay, I can't really, like, it's too much, I just kind of, like, take a step back and, you know, I pray. I go to church every Sunday, and I feel like it's always like it's like a reset for me. It's like a very, very peaceful time for me to just kind of, like, you know, pour my heart out and, you know, whatever stress I have, and I basically just, like, you know, kind of release it, and I get, like, a reset for the whole week again. You know, I have my dogs, and they're both rescues, and it's crazy how they both started as foster dogs, and we ended up adopting them. And our first foster dog, his name's Joey, he's basically my emotional support dog. I got him after my grandpa had passed away in the Philippines. Very tough time for me, because I came from, like, my ultimate high, which was SummerSlam in August of 2021. I think a few weeks after that, I had to fly to the Philippines. This is still, like, pandemic, by the way. So it was just, like, flying to the Philippines during the pandemic. You know, it was such a it was just very hard. Like, I had to quarantine for 10 days at a hotel by myself, and then you know, well, this is all happening while my grandpa was still in the hospital. And then, you know, I got out of the hotel. I still had to quarantine again at my godparents' home. And it's just, like, a lot of, like, trials, basically, just to be with my grandpa, which ultimately I didn't end up being with him because they wouldn't allow us to get into the hospital. And then he passed away. I went from, like, the ultimate high, SummerSlam, August 2021, and then, like, October, like, my grandpa passed away. And so when I came back to the U.S., I was just like, it really hit me hard. And, you know, when we got our foster dog, it just really helped me emotionally through the grieving process. And I feel like there's always, like, outlets for all of us, healthy outlets that we can do to kind of help us go through stuff. You know, because I feel like everyone has something that they go through, and it, as much as we want to show that it's not really affecting us, I feel like the first step of like accepting that, okay, what happened really affected me this much, it helps us go through the healing process, and mentally it'll help us kind of like, okay, I accepted that this is, what's happening to me. And then mentally you just kind of started thinking, okay, how do I resolve this? How do I try to kind of get out of this situation? And then just kind of find like an outlet, which, for me, ever since I got my dog, I felt like helping dogs became like an outlet for me. And so mentally it really helped me kind of, go through, stuff that's happening in my life. And so yeah, things can be bad, but at the same time, if you have like a support system somehow, because I feel like support system is different for everyone, but with me, I found my support through, praying, going to church, and then I have my dog, so.
Well, my condolences to you and the loss of your grandfather, and certainly thank God for dogs, because dogs are such a wonderful emotional support, and certainly what you do to keep your mental health in check is definitely important with the spirituality. And again, Raine, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us on the program. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media and any websites that you have. Let the listeners know that as well.
Oh my God, thank you so much. So you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube by looking for Ringside Raine, and that's Raine with R-A-I-N-E. You can find, my most recent Raine announcing videos on my Instagram. I'm also on TikTok still. But for the most part, I keep my Instagram updated all the time. And if you are in the Southern California area, you are somewhere near Los Angeles, I started announcing for MMA as well.
Before I let you go, I know there's a lot of people out there that want to achieve dreams, but they may have run into some hurdles or some obstacles, they've had some setbacks, and you certainly achieved not just the American dream, but you just achieved so much so far in your life, and there's definitely going to be more to come. Just from humble beginnings in the Philippines, coming over to the States, stumbling upon wrestling, so you definitely achieved a lot thus far. And I want to ask you, do you have a message for anyone wanting to achieve their dreams despite any setbacks or obstacles? The floor is yours.
Oh, wow. The main thing is I remember when, right before I found out about the WWE TikTok announcer contest, John Cena came back for, I think it was Money in the Bank. He came back, and then the next night, there was Monday Night Raw. He came back, we had, you know how he comes out, he has this, a towel or a t-shirt or whatever. And he rolled out this towel that says, "Never give up." And at that point in my life, I was just like, you know what? I've been doing these independent shows, whatever. I mean, at that point, I was just I was just starting anyway, but in my head, I was like, is there really something here, And then, I saw that, never give up. And every time, I question myself again. Is this where I belong? Is this worth it? I think about that moment. When I saw John Cena, he said, never give up. Whatever dream you have in your heart, we only got one life to live. And I feel like each day is an opportunity to get closer to what we want in life. It's never going to be easy, because if it was easy, everyone will be doing, everyone will be doing, what they've been dreaming of, right? But that's the thing. It's you just have to keep, pushing yourself. There's always going to be trials. There's always going to be challenges. But if you have that mindset of never give up, never give up, it'll help you keep going, even if things don't seem to be working. I always believe we're being led to somewhere that's really meant for us, waiting for us. Just don't give up, never give up. I think that's my attitude. Because if you do, then then you're not getting closer to your dream if you give up right now. Just never give up.
Absolutely, and that's some strong words to live by, as you said, with John Cena, never give up, and that's definitely important no matter what you do in life. And Raine, one more time, tell everybody where they can find you on social media, any websites, let the listeners know that as well.
Oh, yeah. So you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, or YouTube. My username is Ringside Raine, and that's Raine with ERAINE.
You heard it from her. She's Raine Cruz, ring announcer, also a cage announcer in the MMA world, and also she's a voiceover artist as well, doing commercials and tons of narration work, and also the winner of the WWE announcer contest for the SummerSlam event in 2021. Raine, thank you so much again for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on the program. If ever you want to come back on, feel free to let us know.
Oh, my God. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. We'll be back with more right after this.
When it comes to our children and families, we do everything we can to play it safe. Did you know? The single best way to help safeguard from flu and reduce the spread of the flu virus is through annual vaccination. Families Fighting Flu is devoted to protecting your family against this serious and potentially deadly disease. Our commitment comes from our organization's personal experiences. I lost my 5-year-old healthy son Joseph to the flu. The flu poses a serious risk to everyone, from the young to the elderly, but we know that flu vaccines can save lives. Increasing the number of flu vaccinations by just 5% could prevent nearly 800,000 illnesses and 10,000 hospitalizations. Help keep your family and your community safe. Together, we can fight the flu. Get yourself and your family vaccinated this year and every year. For facts and tools, visit familiesfightingflu.org.
All right, everybody, that's going to do it for another exciting edition of The Robinson Show. Once again, a big special thank you to Raine Cruz, wrestling ring announcer, also host of the RaineCheck Podcast, and also a voiceover artist. Again, a big special thank you to Raine for appearing on the program, talking about her upbringing, also her love for professional wrestling, and, of course, her 2021 SummerSlam experience. Until next time, everybody, remember, put God first in everything you do, and you can't go wrong. Until next time, stick to the script. I'm out. Peace. Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe. Once again, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.